Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be starting working on Ruth's journal. Ruth has asked me to make a journal for her, and she only, after questions by me, she only asked for a few things. Number one, she wanted a journal in which there was room to journal. The second thing she told me was that she likes the color blue. And the third thing was that she would like me to have some of my art included in the journal. Well, that was just a tickle for me. So I thought I would start showing my process and let you in on the ground floor. I have picked many papers and many goodies and placed them in this box, and I have picked cover material, and I thought I'd share that with you, and if we have time I would get started a little bit on the first page of the first signature. I'm going to start by telling you my thought process. Ruth expressed a desire to be able to journal in this journal. That meant, A, I had to leave room on the pages for her to be able to write, and second, that it would be easy and comfortable for her to do that. So I have decided to take one of my last vinyl placemats and use that as the cover of the book. Now let me explain why I've chosen to do that. I am not going to sew these two signatures into this. I'm going to attach them with elastic. By doing that, Ruth will be able to get the pages flat, or as flat as possible given the thickness after I finished working on it of two signatures. And she will also be able to make any changes, to move around papers, to add her own papers, and I thought that that would be the best way to come at that. So that is going to be the basis of the cover, and I painted this acrylic on craft paper for especially for Ruth's journal. As you can see, I used a blue background. I put a blue focal flower on here and some blue embellishments. So that is going to be used on this cover. That took a while for me to decide upon and figure out. I'm going to set this aside right now. Aside is also known as the floor. So I've begun to pick the papers for the two signatures. Now these two signatures, the papers in these two signatures are quite similar. So I'm just going to share one. I don't want to take up too much of your time. The cover of the first signature is watercolor paper that has been dyed with coffee stains and sprayed with Tattered Angels spray. Let me show you. I used Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and to add to the shabby look of the paper. So that is the cover for the first signature. Next, I'm thinking I might move this out of the way also. Onto my lap. This paper was one of my is a copy of one of my pages. The next sheet is a Glimmer Mist in blue on a heavier weight paper. I don't know where this paper is, where it came from, but it is grained. So, and the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist seem to really love this this paper. A piece of graph paper that has been coffee dyed, a blue bird, and it happened to be a twofer, so we have one here. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it's going to be fun in the doing. Here is a piece of my 100% cotton watermarked resume paper, which is in an off-white shade and takes beautifully to watercolor. So I think I'll probably do a little playing on that page. Another Tattered Angels sheet, this one done on a light cardstock. This piece was, I found this in my stash of collage papers, so that is going to be this page, and I don't know what's going to happen there. I decided that too much blue would be just too much, so I used Rit dye with, they called it hyacinth blue, and it is leans more towards a mauve color. And so this is watercolor paper, again, Canson watercolor, 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. This sheet is from a book that I found at an antique mall, and so I again spray colored that page, and it's nice and crispy. Here, a colored book page that Ruth will be able to play on. Old sheet music, and this did not require, and it could not have stood being put in water because it's quite an old puppy, and so I reinforced it, as you can see, with washi. Another paper that will give Ruth plenty of journaling place. A plain piece of coffee dyed paper. Another of my painty papers. More of the hyacinth Rit dyed paper, and a page from a calendar. It's rather heavy. It almost feels like it's been coated with acrylic. And another sheet of lighter weight watercolor paper. Not the finest quality, but watercolor paper nonetheless, done the same way as the front page was. Here is a coffee dyed page from a ledger. A piece of vellum. I do like to do vellum, and this is going to be great fun. And the center, a piece of the Canson watercolor paper. So, as you can see, I'm going to have many places to embellish and include some of my work, and generally have fun in Ruth's journal. So, the other one is fairly similar to this. At this point, it's quite similar. And now, let me share the pickings from my trove. Much more here than I'm probably going to be using, but still, I like to have the choice available to me in one place. This, I imagine, this kind of preparation is a holdover from years of being a teacher. I like to have all my possibilities in one place so that I can cope with what happens. And usually the what happens happened in the classroom. All right, so here I have many small bits of blues. I found an origami, 2 envelopes, a library card in blue, a piece, a tag with some of my, a half face of my own that I did quite a few years ago, actually in 2017. And a piece of paper that I cut, just pretties, and here a vellum envelope with some blues and mauves that will go with that hyacinth page. A piece of from my collage trove, heavy bits of paper. This is when I was an innocent and learning mixed media and thought that jelly plates required this heavyweight paper, and a note card. So, the small things. Interesting to wonder how much of that is going to turn up in the final journal. Here are more of my collection of painty papers that I've been making. Some index cards. This is Tattered Angels, and a couple of envelopes in various shades of blues. Some of my Thurber book sprayed papers, dictionary, beautiful thin dictionary pages through a Tattered Angels through a stencil. A page from Good Edith and her great tit birds, and I picked them because of their pretty little blue heads. A found paper, and here some of my a collage bit of mine that I've been saving that I thought might do nicely. Also, a page from I don't know where or I don't know how. Another lodge scene featuring various shades of blue. This is a lovely piece, and I'm almost sure I'm going to try to remember that this turns up in Ruth's journal. Another page from my collage stash. Painty papers in a blue-green. More painty papers. And so forth. So, that is this bit. Let me set these aside. Okay, they go over here. And some large pieces that I wanted to keep separate. Hence the plastic bag. And when I was doing this, I thought to myself, why don't you cut that slide off, and maybe this would be easy to work with. Well, I'm sorry, hence didn't do it. So, some more collage, scrapbooking papers, some of my featuring blue from my stash. Well, as you can imagine, here is a piece of my watercolor that I'm going to be very happy for to include in Ruth's journal. Another piece of my work. One of my girls. Blue hair, who knew? And I did it this way so that she might want one or the other, I don't know. Another piece of my work. And a part of my, I'm going to turn this around because it's obviously a little silly to have to keep turning it for you. A piece of my watercolor. another piece of my watercolor, some vellum, and so on and so forth. This piece is probably going to show up because it's quite delightful. As you can see, my collage stash is going to be working overtime. Of course, there's a limit to how much I can put in there, but at least it's here so that I don't have to always jump up and clamor about and look for things. This is a piece of blue tissue with gold on it. Love, love, love this. Some other papers. This is part of a cut piece from one of my acrylic on craft paper sheets. I thought I might use these sheets as on the inside cover of the journal, possibly. 2 pieces of fabric that I'm hoping to use, and as you can see, more and more papers focusing on blue. Now let me get some of these plunked back down in here. Okay, this is here. This is here. I think this pile will be next. I will bag them up in a bit. This one here, this one on top, and okay, this is where I'm going to begin to work. Although it is not work, this is really more fun than I can stand. I'm going to be using this piece of my work from this year as the general inspiration for Ruth's journal. I'm going to keep it up here all of the time in front of me while I'm working on this journal, so that somehow I can acquire this as part of my thinking, consciously or subconsciously, while making Ruth's journal. So I'm going to take off this front page and set it aside. And I have taken out some equipment, and I thought that I would plunge. I think I'm going to put something in here. Now this is going to be the front book and this is the back, so I'm going to do something along on there. Leave some space for me to maybe add a pretty, and also leave space on the paper for Ruth. Let's see. Right now, let's have a small one here. Do this one over this one. Oh, maybe not so small. All right, we can do that. And a small one here. A smaller one here. Nice large one back here. It's because I feel like doing a nice big one. Little one. It's over the fold. Yes. Let's have a small one here. As you can see, this is going to be just too much fun. One, two, three, four, five, six. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, get that worked out well. Let's have a little Sharpie pen here, and I am going to I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to get this outlined in black. And then I'll be back to play some more. Well, as you can see, I have been playing with these 3 pens. This is a Uniball Signo DX. They want you to think that this is waterproof, and I checked it, and it is mostly waterproof. I would not say it's 100%. And the Faber-Castell Pitt Pen S. So I'm going to finish up these, but I thought I would just work a little bit more on hiding a multitude of sins. For those of you who might be new to this process that I use, I have come outside the lines here a bit with my pen, so I'm going to strengthen the lip of the petals just a bit and increase the center. That will provide me with a more lacy edge, which, as I used to say in stitchery, is a cheat stitch. And so forth. I thought this would be a nice way to a page opener for Ruth's journal. I don't know what else is going to happen on this page, but right now since this petal is over this one, I want to make sure that it looks like that and cover up these fallouts, as I call them. And here. And now I was thinking that I would use my glaze by Sakura to add some color to some of these centers. Just a touch of blue to make a blue statement. So I have begun working on Ruth's journal, and I'm thinking that I am going to use some distress ink around the edge of this paper, and I'm going to use chipped sapphire. Chipped sapphire around the edge here. Just to frame in the page. And I'm going to put some here on the inside while I'm here. I imagine I'll be using this color more and more in this journal, so I'd better keep this distressed ink close at hand. Alrighty. Now, always keeping in mind my inspiration piece and starting in Ruth's journal. If you have enjoyed my sharing the start of my Odyssey, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Bye until the next time.